Okay, cool. Y'all. The technical difficulties are at an all-time high this morning. But I'm glad it's working because there's not enough space on my phone for me to do what I need to do. So hello, welcome to Beautifully Imbalanced. I am your host, DaShay Carter. Today we're going to be talking about my very first self-date and why I felt like it was necessary for me to dive into it and how it can benefit your self-love journey, like it's benefited mine. Before I dive into that, I do want to encourage you to check out my Carter Love clothing brand. It is a clothing brand, unisex clothing brand centered around self-love, affirmations, phrases that have helped me and others through their self-love journey. So check that out. The link is in the description. There are other links in the description that can benefit you in your journey. And there are some material things in there too, of course, So let's dive into it. So, I'll talk about the date first and then we'll go further. So first I was in Sacramento and a friend went, he had like some self time that he set aside for himself. And he was like, well, when are you going to do that for yourself? And it wasn't like when are you going to set some time aside for yourself? It was just like a casual conversation. And I was like, you know what? That's a good question. Because I told myself at the beginning of this year, actually the beginning of my year, so in November, that I would be taking myself on a self date every month, at least once a month this year. And because of finances, I'm like, oh, I can't do it. So I've just been pushing it off. And then when he asked me, I was like, well, damn, I do have time on this day while I'm in Sacramento to do it. And so when I told him that, I felt like I needed to commit to it. One, because I don't like lying. And two, because I needed to do that. I needed to kickstart that. I didn't know how much money I would have or what I would be able to do, but I did know that I needed to take some time to spend on myself. So what I did was I took myself out to eat. I wanted to have a bomb brunch, but instead I was on foot. Like I was walking around in downtown Sac and I didn't want to in that heat. Like I already got bad sunburn because of it, because of being in Sacramento. So I was like, I'll stay where I'm at, So I was in downtown Sac. I went to Yard House, had a bomb ass chicken sandwich. It has some sun-dried tomatoes on it and some avocado. I didn't even need ranch for the sandwich, you guys. That's how good it was. Usually I'd be dipping everything in ranch. I did get ranch though for the fries. And because I didn't know I was going to need it. I wasn't going to need it. And then I had this bomb mocktail. It was like a pineapple spritz. It was really good. And then I wanted dessert, but I was so full. Like I really took my time and sat there and ate and drank my water, drank my spritz. And I didn't rush myself out of there. At first, I wanted to be on my phone. I wanted to be scrolling. I wanted to be distracted. I wanted to feel like I was there with someone else. And I had to remind myself, one, me on a self-date is not pathetic. It's not. It's oh shit. Society, I feel like in the past kind of taught us that, like, you went to the movies by yourself. You went out to eat by yourself. Like, but it's not, we come in this world by ourselves and we love ourselves and we want other people to love us and to treat us a certain way. And I found that me personally, when I would go into relationships, I was expecting them to fill in pieces, things that I didn't even do for myself. So we'll get into that a little bit more later. So after that, there's this bakery that I've been wanting to go to. It's like French style. But I was so full and I wanted to have the pastry fresh, even though I know the pastries be sitting in a little glass case. I wanted it fresh. I didn't want it to be squished in my backpack or anything. So I was like, oh, I'm not going to get that. I'll just go to the bookstore. Cause there's this book that my acupuncturist had suggested to me, and I think it's called All About Love. And I wasn't able to find that book, but I found another book by the author, and then I found a book for the kids. So I went to Capital Books, excuse me, and I got those 2 books. It was a nice little walk. Got those 2 books, and then the guy gave me another book by the woman. I believe her name is Bell Hook. He gave me another book by her for free. And that one, I believe, is more like her autobiography. And the exciting thing is, on the back of the book, she has there's a review from Maya Angelou. I was like, hell yeah, give me this book. So I can't wait to dive into those books. I usually don't read physical books. I haven't read physical books since I had kids, because it's challenging. But in the spirit of, self-dating, in the spirit of my self-love journey, making time for myself and committing to myself, I decided that I was going to invest in that. Maybe that's the next date, take myself on a picnic before it starts getting cold, and sit and read and have a little charcuterie board or whatever. But anyway, so then I'm walking back, and I run into a friend of mine. And so I was like, oh, I'm just looking for a quiet place to read the book that I just got. And so she allowed me to sit in an area that she works in. And so I got to read before my photo shoot. And then I went home because I was missing my babies. So that was my date in a nutshell. Now, I am calling this my first date because I do stuff by myself, but it's stuff that's normal to do by yourself, like working out, or going on walks. Like I used to go on like long walks with my dog. I still go on long walks, just not as far out and not as adventurous because I don't have my dog. So I wanted to. I feel like this was something that to me is more abnormal, I think is the word that I'm looking for. So I want to know in the comments, tell me, I need to stop bumping this stand. Tell me what's your favorite thing to do on a self date, and tell me what scares you about a self date if you haven't been on one. Tell me in the comments, because I want to know. I want to address them and have a conversation about it, for sure. And give me some tips on where I should go on my next self date. Even if you haven't been on one, you know what you want to do with yourself. You know where you want to go. I definitely do want to go to the movies. Dinner in a movie, like that's like a classic little date. So I definitely want to do that for sure. And I want to take a pottery class and an art class. So why was this so important? This was important to me for many reasons. One, I had already decided this was something that I needed to do as like the next step of loving myself. But I got so wrapped up in having the finances to do it, when just like when you're in a romantic relationship, you can find ways to go on a date without having a lot of money. And so it was more so about making the commitment to do it, to go out of the way to do that for myself. And because I would, if I was in a relationship, I wouldn't complain. I would figure it out. And so the point of this is for me to be as committed, if not more committed to myself as I am in other relationships. So for me to dedicate the time and energy to connect with myself the way I do when I'm in a romantic relationship, when I'm in a friendship, when I'm in even a work relationship, I go above and beyond. And it's for many different reasons. I do have the people pleasing background, and then I have the anxious attachment. Like, I'm very passionate and intense. And so I don't half-ass anything. It's not who I am. And so I shouldn't half-ass things with myself, or I shouldn't just neglect myself and expect the next person to fill in where I'm leaving off. And I'm trying to stop saying shouldn't, because that is like a shame word. but it's something I don't want to be expecting people to fill in where I neglect myself. Because the other part of it is you teach people how to treat you. And if you're neglecting yourself, you're teaching them to neglect you. If you don't see yourself, you're teaching them not to see you. If you don't see your gifts and your worth and you're accepting the bare minimum, that is what you're teaching people. You're teaching people that you are just fine with the bare minimum. I don't ask for much. Okay, that's cool. You ain't gonna get much. You ain't even gonna get what you asked for, period. And so it's just important to me because I found myself in work relationships, friendship, and romantic relationships. Y'all, all three categories, I found myself in situations where I taught them to treat me, giving me the bare minimum. I taught them that I'm willing to go above and beyond for them, but they don't have to go above and beyond for me. And so I'm like, I had to get out of that cycle. And it's hard because if you spend most of your adult life doing that, it's hard to get out of that cycle. The best way to do it is to fall more in love with yourself. The more you love yourself, the more you know your worth, the more you can give yourself the things that you're craving, the less you're likely to tolerate BS. And I found that I have a high tolerance for BS because I grew up in trauma and I had to learn how to thrive in trauma because I could not change my situation. So I had to learn how to live and be happy in those situations, but I'm not there anymore. I'm not a child. I'm not being abused. I'm not being neglected. I'm not there anymore. So I have to move in a way that is going to benefit my adulthood, going to benefit me as a mother, going to show my kids a good example so they don't have to go through all this extra work that I have to go through to love myself, right? So that is why it's important. That's why I started. I also had this dream and me and my therapist broke it down and we realized that there's a lot of areas in my life that I'm unsatisfied. And these are areas that I have trusted other people with, whether it's my, intimacy or my romantic life or my sexual life, either way it goes, like in those areas, I'm not satisfied. I'm not getting what I need. And so when I do find people that give me a portion of what I need, or I get very intense and my anxious attachment kicks in and I try to do whatever I can to keep these people, and it puts a lot of pressure on me in the relationship, and then it hurts even more when the relationship ends. But that's because I'm seeking for satisfaction. I'm seeking to be satisfied in a way that I can satisfy myself, but I'm not even satisfying myself. Whereas if I start to love myself and take myself on dates and give myself hand massages and love myself in the 5 love languages, gifts, words of affirmation, quality time, I'm missing a few. But if I love myself in those love languages, if I give myself all of those things, not only am I teaching other people to do that, but I am giving myself everything that I need. So whatever other people have to offer is a bonus. What other people have to offer, when I speak up to express how I feel, if they don't lean in my direction, or if they're not willing to fix it, that's okay, because I know my worth and I can walk away. If I'm giving myself everything that I need, my connection with others is just the icing on the cake. The cake tastes good by itself. It does. Especially if you make it right. If it's moist and it has all the right ingredients, it tastes good by itself. But the icing on the cake is just what makes life sweeter. The connections we have with people and the positive impact that they give, the strength in having those hard conversations, the connection, the way the connection gets deeper, when they call you out on things and you're like, yeah, you're right, or it takes you a while to come around to the facts, but it shows you how much they care about you and about your journey, and that's sweet. Like, that just makes things sweeter. But it gives yourself, it's like I don't want to say it's a protection thing, because it's necessary for you to love yourself in these ways, whether you're trying to protect yourself or not. Because the thing is, putting that pressure on another person for them to be your everything, for them to be the reason that makes you smile all the time, for them to be the one to solve your problems and theirs, that's a lot of weight to put on a person. And it takes a lot away from you as well, from your strength and your growth and your belief in yourself and your connection with yourself. And so it's just very important for you to have that connection with yourself. And so it also helps you to get to know yourself in another way. So if any of the other ways, if you haven't tried the other ways that I dive into self-love and I get to know myself, this is a good way that you can, I want to say, kind of indirectly get to know yourself. Whereas the other work that I do, it takes a lot of looking in the mirror. The journaling, the different types of readings that I do, the therapy, all of that takes me looking in the mirror to see what happened to me. Why am I this way? Why do I move this way? Why can I be obsessive? Why can I be intense? Why does my anxious attachment make me do these things? You know what I mean? Those are all things that I study to find out, so that I know how to move accordingly, or so I know what areas I need to heal in, or so I can just accept these parts of myself, period. Because even if they don't heal, or even if I do begin to heal, it's still a part of me. So it still needs to be accepted and loved. But this, to me, I think that dating yourself is a more simple way, to me, more indirect way to love yourself more. Because again, like I said, I spent time with myself. I didn't have any phone calls. Only person that I was really texting was my, the girl who was in charge of the photo shoot I was going to. And don't get me wrong, I was scared. I tried. There was a couple of people I reached out to and I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you doing? To have an excuse to hang out with someone. And like I said, I wanted to scroll, and there was work I could have done on my phone. You know, my phone is like my laptop. I can always do work on there. I could have edited my website, or, did the work for August's challenge or whatever. There's work I could have done, and I wanted to, but I had to really make that commitment to myself. I had to talk to myself and tell myself, this is what you need. You need to satisfy yourself. You need to treat yourself the way you want to be treated. You need to love on yourself. And because at the end of the day, I am what I have. I live with myself. Whether I'm with someone or not, I live with myself. I have to live with myself until I die. So I hope that made sense. I think that's all that I wrote down. But basically, just to be everything you need: friendship, business partner, intimacy, fun, creativity, etc., etc., etc. Because it for many reasons, I don't want to say because it can damage your relationship, but it can. That's a lot of weight to put on a partner. But mainly, my biggest focus is not about other people. My biggest focus is about yourself and the connection you have with yourself, and the more you love yourself. And I have a habit of getting into relationships that are damaging because I feel a little bit of intimacy, or I feel a little connection, or I thrive off of our conversations, but everything else sucks. So No, like, because if I can give myself that little bit of intimacy that I'm getting from that person, or that creativity, that creative conversation that I'm having with that person, if I can give myself that, then I'm less likely to settle for less than. I'm less likely to waste my time, put in years with a person I have no business being with. So it helps your unlocking your self love and deepening your self love and your connection with yourself. It also helps with your future and who you spend your future with, who you share your life with. Um, so just something to think about. You know what I'm saying? Remember to treat yourself how you want to be treated, and go from there and take off. So that is that. I actually have I'm gonna set that as a challenge. I started it a little bit, but challenges are done on the Patreon account. There is in the Patreon account, that's where I do my monthly challenges. As I'm recording this video, I'm doing the second challenge. It's July 2024. The second challenge, that one is going smoothly. August is right around the corner, so the August challenge will start. So if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and email me or message me on Instagram, or however you need to reach me, you can reach me. You can even put it in the comments. I'll come for you. But Patreon is where we do the work. Here on this podcast, this is where I tell my story, and you find a way to apply something that has helped me to your story, to your journey. My clothing brand is the Affirmation Station. Okay, so those are, affirmation clothing that you can wear regularly, and the Patreon account is where we do the work. I put resources in there. Advice. There's a chat that we can communicate in that will be based off of topics such as trauma, grief, and things like that. So Patreon is where we do the work. The Patreon link is in the description. There's other resources in the description. Most of the resources are going to be in Patreon, though, when it comes to your self-love journey. So thank you guys so much for watching today. And remember that you are worthy, 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 worthy always. You are worthy of self-love. You are worthy of quality time and words of affirmation and gifts and all the 5 love languages and whatever love languages y'all come up with, because it's a lot of them that people keep talking about out there. So you are worthy of all the things that you need. You are worthy of care, and your feelings are valid. You are worthy of satisfaction and pleasure and joy and happiness. And you are worthy of time and space. And you are just worthy of all the things that you desire. Okay? Until next time, loves.